someone in your past who was a home sewer? Your mom, your grandma? In many instances, they were your main supply of clothing, and sewing arts were a necessity. I'd like to read you a quote from a 1949 Singer sewing machine manual, which came with the purchase of the new machine. Quote, "Prepare yourself mentally for sewing. Think about what you are going to do. Never approach sewing with a sigh or lackadaisically." I don't even know what lackadaisically means. Good results are difficult when indifference predominates. Never try to sew with a sink full of dirty dishes or beds unmade. When there are urgent housekeeping chores, do those first so your mind is free to enjoy your sewing. When you sew, make yourself as attractive as possible. Put on a clean dress. Keep a little bag full of French chalk near your sewing machine to dust your fingers at intervals. Have your hair in order, powder and lipstick on. And if you are constantly fearful that a visitor will drop in on your husband or your husband will come home and you will not look neatly put together, you will not enjoy your sewing. End quote. Well, I'm Carol Downs, and most of you know me. We're ready to get going on this. But I'm certain that all of our artists today have followed those suggestions to the letter. I always put a clean dress on when I sew. These days, sewing has become more than art, and what elevates it to that is the wide selection of fabrics worldwide, the addition of embellishments such as applique, embroidery, beading, fabric manipulation, and the changing and combining of patterns to create a one-of-a-kind garment. Sewing these days is more an art and hobby than a necessity. Here's our first example. Zendangle art is a fun and relaxing way of drawing structured, repetitive patterns similar to doodling, and an extension of doodling even. When she took a weekend Zentangle class at Guild, she asked herself, now how can I wear that? And you're looking at the answer. Cindy tangled on the fabric using archival permanent ink pens and extended the drawings over seam lines and from one section of the vest to the next. Two well-placed black and white buttons add to the design. The slacks are semi-fitted with tapered legs and just a hint of kick at the hem. The flattering design of the pants includes an elasticized back waistband. Cindy's secret is that she used the wrong side of the fabric on the outside of the pants. She says the right side just wasn't right. The patterns for the vest and pants were both from designer Marcy Tilton. Thank you, Cindy. Carol Smith was inspired by her 50 years of collecting turtles from around the world for her Turtles Galore creation. I hope these weren't live turtles. She also wanted to remember her honeymoon nearly 44 years ago to the South Pacific island of Fiji. Carol used a basic pattern for the bodice, but moved the neckline up and added a ruffle for a South Pacific look. This fabric was solid blue on top with a wide print along the bottom. She made the skirt without a pattern, using the turtle design to its best advantage. Her turtle bracelet was fashioned and forged by FFG member Sarah Okumo, that's probably still wrong. And the jeweled velvet turtle purse was a gift from friends, as were the turtle earrings. I'm sensing a theme going on here, but what a wonderful way to show off a collection, Carol. Joyce Green Donnelly makes her first appearance in our show wearing her print collage skirt and top. Her petal skirt was made from 6 different fabrics. Joyce says she didn't quite read the directions on the pattern correctly, which said to cut each piece individually. Been there, done that, Joyce. So after cutting out what was two halves that were the same, she had to go buy more fabric. Really, there are 6 different fabrics in this skirt. The top is from a McCall's pattern 6617, which is probably discontinued. Joyce states that the most difficult part was getting the loops the right size for the buttons and to get the front to close properly. Mission accomplished, Joyce. No one but Claudia Wahlberg could whip up this cute skirt and blouse. The blue-black fabric and the white fabric was collected by Claudia's mother-in-law, Judy Wahlberg. They include hotel bathrooms from Japan and kimono cloth. Although the skirt looks like one piece of fabric, the entire skirt is pieced with each panel including up to 50 different pieces. The blouse is a commercial pattern made from fabric also purchased by Judy. The bracelets are covered and embellished pipe cleaners and unearthed from her stash. They are similar to the favors each attendee received at our 2012 fashion show. Great job, Claudia. Buckskin and silk. A silk dress with leather vest is a Carolyn Soto creation. She has been experimenting with chamois and other leathers for garments and accessories. We always called it chamois. She likes the juxtaposition of a fine silk against the rough texture and raw edges of the suede skins. This dress is adapted from a Marcy Tilton Vogue pattern. The finely pleated silk required more stability, so she underlined the dress with silk organza. Carolyn hates hand basting and would rather use a zillion pins to avoid it, but she bit the bullet and basted each piece of the dress. A suede drawstring gathers the bound neckline and dangles with gold finials. The flyaway layers on the back of the suede vest preserve the raw edges of the original animal skin. Gold metallic machine top stitching in large irregular zigzags decorate the neckline and attach the straps. Very interesting compilation, Carol. Here's Marlene Dean with her Cheddar celebration jacket. It celebrates a trip she made to southern India in 2012, where the population in one area is composed of people called Chettiars. They are a class of merchants and business owners, and at one time built colorful, ornate mansions which are still in existence today. She visited a village co-op of hand weavers who also love color and watched the men at work on their looms. She was especially attracted to the red and orange fabrics predominantly displayed. Marlene purchased 2 meters of checked cloth plus, some with stripes. A young lady proudly told her that the colors she chose are a symbol of their group. What she thought would be a straightforward sewing project took almost a year. Starting at the back of the jacket, she soon found out that this was hand-loom cloth and it has a mind of its own. It went all wonky, that's her word, during the quilting process. So she let it sit and sit until she could figure out how to rescue the wobbles and the waggles that were created. Again, her words, but with no mistakes. Marlene states that each time she looks at the jacket, she can see the village, the weavers, the looms, the displays of cloth, and the young lady who sold the cloth to her. She says the colors of India are never silent. During the past year, I'm sure you noticed in the program, our guild member, Laura Wheeler, presented several challenges to our membership. These challenges were meant to encourage our creativity and think outside the box. These garments are the result of a challenge Laura called the shirt off his back. Members were to start with a basic man's shirt and create something new with that shirt. It didn't have to be a garment, and you may have seen some of the exhibits which were responses to this challenge. One of the distinct elements, like collar, cuffs, button, placket, etc., from the shirt had to be incorporated in the finished entry. Catherine Miller brings us Upside Down, Summer or Winter, modeled by Amanda Metz. Kathy took 2 shirts, one long sleeve and one short sleeve, ergo, summer, winter, joined them together at their bottoms and added a trim of yellow lace. She used Velcro to fasten the sleeves to the body of the shirt, not Amanda's body. So now it can be worn long-sleeved or short-sleeved on top. I'm not quite sure what to call this garment, but you have to admit it's quite creative. Now this is a task to do it in front of all these people. That's wonderful, Amanda. Again, I'm not quite sure what to call this garment, but you have to admit it's quite creative. And we'll all look forward to its owner, Kathy, shopping at River Park or at a local grocery store. Thank you, Amanda. Sure, your curiosity was piqued by Carol Porosky's in the program. I Love Lucy meets Sex in the City, which she made for her daughter Desiree Torres here. Carol states that in the 50s, I Love Lucy, we all remember, well, not all of us, but most of us remember that. Lucille Ball used to wear capri pants, but always had a skirt attached to dress up to entertain her neighbors. When Carol saw the movie Sex in the City 2, Carrie was wearing a ruffle-type skirt with a strapless top and capri pants. It was considered a retroactive, and that was her inspiration. She found a tuxedo church at Heinz Hospice thrift store in Clovis and used the cuffs and collar for the shirt, so it qualified for the shirt category. The skirt fabric was an old costume fabric from Carol's stash. Thanks, Desiree, that's darling. You met Janice Marshall earlier, and here she shows her ruffled shirt and tie. She was motivated by this challenge, so obtaining a shirt from her husband's closet, she set about shortening the sleeves and hem, and started with the ruffles on the collar and the sleeves. Next, she embellished the rest of the shirt with other techniques, such as colorful strips and various machine embroidery motifs. The tie was inspired by a Threads magazine article about women's ties. She used the Threads pattern and created the tie out of the batik fabrics left over from the shirt. The skirt, Good job. Susan Bellamy's Vogue in Black features a black jacket with large polka dots, bringing remembrances of the dotted Swiss of yesterdays. However, now big and bold, but totally tempered by the color black. Fun buttons were added to achieve accent. I think she planned this next quote to confuse me. Okay, here it goes. The skirt had many cuts and additions. Okay, go ahead, try saying the skirt. With a black jacket, I'm ready. Fun buttons were added to achieve accent. The skirt has many cuts and additions and is fully lined to try to stabilize the weak shirt fabric. Interfacings had to be added to the button front to help the tendency to pucker. The brooch is an old buttons that were gleaned from the button box and assembled into a one-of-a-kind vintage piece, and the bracelet was a gift. Next is ever-creative Claudia Walbard wearing her Desperate Housewives outfit. 4 men's shirts were cut up to create this dress. The dress was draped onto a form and built/designed as she went. The buttons on the front are functional. The back placket is the cuffs from one of the shirts, and the front collars are the men's shirt collars. The one-of-a-kind treasure necklace was made using 4 strands of braided seed beads to showcase the over 100 beads and treasures fellow member C.R. Radding has collected over the years. I saw this dress taking form, the very start at my retreat in August that I hold for fellow members, and I can't believe what she's done with it. I just love it, Claudia. This black tie tunic is Carolyn Soto's answer to the shirt challenge. She loves how the men look in formal attire, so she decided to capture some of the look in this upcycled shirt. She found the shirt at the thrift store, complete with little black studs. Fabric from the original sleeves were added to the body for an A-line shape, and the cap sleeves were formerly the French cuffs. We are very proud to announce that this garment will appear in a forthcoming issue of Altered Couture magazine. Congratulations. Quick Change Marlene Dean is carrying her shirt challenge entry and has this to say about it. Now stay with me, this might be a little confusing. He sent me to the surface. This garment developed as the work proceeded, she says. The idea of inserting gussets in the shirt attracted her, so bright scraps were inserted to add the color and sheer. Then the raw edges of the seam bindings had to be covered, so she learned to make yo-yos out of scraps and applied them with buttons over the raw edges. Then she realized yo-yos are like potato chips. I bet you can't make just one. She made so many yo-yos that they threatened to evict her from the house. Having a little lifetime supply allowed her to sprinkle more of the critters on other parts of the shirt and not even make a dent in her supply. Then when Laura Wheeler announced the little black dress challenge, Marlene thought Laura had said vest instead of dress. Marlene was stuck for an idea for a vest, and then she remembered she had a zillion yo-yos left, so why not use them? She designed a vest layout using them, plus buttons and quilting. Black seemed to be the perfect color for all those dancing colors, so black it was. Only after the vest was completed did she realize the challenge was for a dress. But I'll bet she's not a bit sorry. These next entries we call shawls, y'all. Many of you are aware that we have small groups of special interests meeting outside of our regular monthly meetings. These next members formed a weaving group and contacted world-famous weaving teacher. And way to go, Carol. You've got full attention, sweetie. And contacted this famous weaving teacher, Tom Kinsley, from Pennsylvania, and brought him here at their own expense to Fresno for a class. These shawls were woven on floor looms during the class, and you will see how individually different each one is. Diane Parrish couldn't be here today, and Jody Dedeker is modeling for her, leading all them off. Diane's is called The Best of Autumn, a 100% wool in beautiful fall colors. She was just called away for a family emergency, so Jody has graciously stepped in to model for her. Kathleen Macaulay's shawl, Kathleen, Southwest Sunside, is modeled today by, I always have trouble with this, Lorraine, forgive me, Lorraine Bucalica. Close? Good enough. It features Harrisville wool accented with silk. Coffee Cappuccino is aptly named and worn by its creator, Vicki Collier McDonald. Linda Sloan wears Juniper by the Sea as her entry. She wants you to note the creation of plaid and striped patterns in one shawl. Amazing. Mountain Berry by the show's star, Carol Munchauer, seems to invite you to a mountain cabin and snuggle in it in front of a roaring fireplace. Good girl. See, you didn't die. Most of these ladies, did I miss one? Yes, I did, I'm so sorry. Our last shawl, made by Gail Orange and modeled by Cindy Schletz, is aptly named Amethyst Iridescence. Isn't that a great example of individual, using the same pattern, came out with such individual shawls. Most of these ladies have been meeting monthly to weave since 2008. I bet there was more going on at these meetings than weaving. What a lovely way to get together with friends of common interest. Thanks, gals.